Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and I want to help you decide if you should pick up an iPhone 12 or an iPhone 12 Pro. I'm going to go over all the similarities and everything that makes the two different. And so let's start off with the different colors. With the iPhone 12, you have a little bit more of a color variety, and you can see this is the blue color. You also have green, product red, white, and black. With the iPhone 12 Pro, you only get 4 color choices, and those are Pacific Blue, like I have here, along with Gold, Graphite, which replaces Space Gray of the years past, as well as Silver. There's also a price difference between these different phones. So the iPhone 12 starts at $799 for 64 gigabytes of storage, and then goes up to $949 with 256 gigabytes of storage. Now, if you wanted to buy the iPhone 12 unlocked, it's an additional $30. That's something new over what we had before. With the iPhone 12 Pro, the prices start at $999 with 128 gigabytes of storage to start, and then go up to $1,299 with 512 gigabytes. With unlocked variants, the price is no different with the 12 Pro, so you only have to pay $30 extra with the iPhone 12. Now, as far as the overall build and size, well, the size itself is absolutely identical. In fact, the exact same cases work for either or. So Apple has made them the same size, and when you buy a case, it actually says that it's for the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro. So you'll see this is the navy blue or deep navy case that they have. If I take it off the iPhone 12, I can slide it onto the iPhone 12 Pro. It fits the exact same way, despite the camera differences on the back. They're the exact same in every way that way. So as far as a size difference, well, there's no difference whatsoever. So if that's a determining factor for you, either one is fine as far as that goes. Now, the build is a little bit different. The iPhone 12 is a little bit lighter because it's made of aluminum. In fact, the outside edge is aluminum all the way around. It's a nice matte color. Whatever color you get, it has this nice matte finish on it. Now, also the back is glass, and you can see just from doing this beginning part of the video, it's a fingerprint magnet. So if you don't put a case on this, you'll notice a lot of fingerprints. But around the camera bump is more of a matte finish with the glass. It's all glass, back and front on both devices. Now, with the iPhone 12 Pro, it's stainless steel around the outside edge. It's a polished stainless steel all the way around, and it's also a matte glass on the back, with the camera bump being more of a glossy glass. So they sort of reversed it between the two, as you can see here. Now, also we have glass on the back and front on both. So it's basically the same thing, depending on which device you get. It's just a different color and a different finish. Now, because of those different builds, there's a weight difference as well. So the iPhone 12 comes in at 5.78 ounces or 164 grams. The iPhone 12 Pro is a little bit heavier at 6.66 ounces or 189 grams. Now, other than the weight differences, like I said, they're identical in every way. So you have a power sleep wake button on the right side. You have a little cutout for your 5G antenna. We'll talk more about that in a moment. On the bottom, they're the exact same. So as you can see, the microphone is here on the right with the speaker on the left and the lightning port in the center. The antenna lines are identical, although there might be a slight thickness difference there between the two, based off maybe material difference. Again, your volume buttons on the side and your silent switch and antenna lines as well, and then your SIM card tray. So everything's identical all the way around. And like I said, they both have 5G. They have the exact same 5G network. Everything is the same as far as that. The speakers are the same, the microphones are the same, and the displays are the same. They're both using Gorilla Glass with ceramic shield, so they should be equally durable with drops, and Apple says they're up to 4 times more durable with drop tests than last year, and early scratch tests of these devices are saying they're more durable than last year's iPhone 11 line, so that's good news. But like I said, they're the exact same displays. They're the same in every dimension, 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED displays. You don't have an LCD option this year. Now, neither have 120 hertz refresh rates. They're 60 hertz refresh rates. So everything is still pretty smooth between both of them, but they are 60 hertz. They're also the same resolution at 2532 by 1170 with 460 pixels per inch. They support HDR, and True Tone, but there is one slight difference that Apple included between the two. And it's kind of strange because the iPhone 12, which I'll switch over to the left just to keep it consistent, and like I said, they're the same. I didn't even know I was holding the same one in the opposite hand, and that's because they feel so similar other than weight. If I paid attention to it, I would have known, but otherwise you can't really tell. Now, as far as the brightness, that's where the difference comes in. With the iPhone 12, it goes up to 625 nits of brightness, where the iPhone 12 Pro goes up to 800 nits of brightness. So if I turn them all the way up, you may or may not be able to see that because it's sort of too bright for the camera I'm recording with. But they both go super bright. They're easy to view outside. And when you're playing back HDR video, they hit the same brightness of 1200 nits. So they're the exact same displays. Apple has just limited the display on the 12 to 625 nits of brightness. That's the only difference there. Now there's another difference when it comes to the processor. Now they have the same exact A14 Bionic CPU inside of them. It's a super fast new chip which processes all sorts of things like HDR video, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but both of them have the A14 Bionic, but the iPhone 12 only has 4 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPhone 12 Pro has 6 gigabytes of RAM. This may make a difference when recording video or maybe editing video with your device, but for the most part, you probably won't know the difference. Now on the back, there's obvious differences with the cameras. Of course, the iPhone 12 lacks an additional lens and lacks the new LiDAR sensor that the 12 Pro has. But the cameras that are already there are identical between the two of them. So for example, on both of them, we have the exact same ultra-wide with a 2.4 aperture, and then we also have a wide 1.6 aperture lens, which lets in a lot of light, and that's a really great camera from my tests. Now, the additional lens that we get, or camera that we get on the 12 Pro, is a telephoto lens. And so that does give you an advantage with an f2.0 aperture if you want to take a telephoto zoom photo. And like I said, this LiDAR sensor helps with focusing. That can help you focus at night with autofocus, and also can help with things like augmented reality if you use a lot of those apps and things like that. Now with the iPhone 12, you can zoom in, and Apple says you get a 2x optical zoom range. They're sort of punching into the sensor to give you that look. So you can see this photo here where I've taken it with a 2x zoom on the iPhone 12 versus the 2x optical zoom on the iPhone 12 Pro, and there's really not that much difference. Apple does a really good job making both of those photos very clear. But the iPhone 12 Pro can punch in a little bit further, up to a 4x optical zoom range, and allows you to zoom in a little bit further on the app itself. So if we go into the camera app, you'll see I have the iPhone 12 on my left, the 12 Pro on my right. If we punch into 2x, we can zoom right into the keyboard there. However, we can pinch and zoom in a little bit further. So it gives us up to 10x according to the camera. On the iPhone 12, while it's not clear because it's digital, it's 5x. So the 5x zoom versus the 10x zoom, you can see a photo here. There is a difference. The 10x zoom lets you get closer, but again, it's digital, so it's not as clear. So you do get that advantage with the 12 Pro if you want to zoom in, but you don't expect a super clear photo from that. The iPhone 12 Pro can also take portrait photos at night thanks to its LiDAR sensor. You can see the photo here. It doesn't look amazing, but you can't do it with the iPhone 12 since it doesn't have the LiDAR sensor for depth sensing. The forward-facing cameras on both of them are identical in every single way, so there's no differences at all. Now, another advantage you get with the iPhone 12 Pro with the camera over the iPhone 12 is Dolby Vision HDR video. Both have the option to record in Dolby Vision HDR, but the 12 Pro can do it up to 60 frames per second, where the 12 can go to 30 frames per second. So for example, if we go into the record video settings, turn on HDR, you'll see HDR video on both, and you have the option for 4K 60 high efficiency on the iPhone 12 Pro. Maybe that's the RAM difference on both of them, but HDR video will go up to 30 frames per second as it says here, and 60 frames per second on the Pro. So that is a slight difference if you do want to record maybe some slow motion video with the 12, or just want to record in 60 frames per second. That is a small difference. Now, being that both of these are the exact same size, they have the exact same battery inside. So what that means is a 2,815 milliamp hour battery is in both of these devices. So there is zero difference between them. There's zero difference in battery life. In fact, in normal use, expect 7 hours of battery life if you're a light user, maybe less if you're a heavy user and using 5G, as 5G does use more power, but It may take a few days for that sort of to optimize if you just picked one up, but usually about 6 or 7 hours of screen on time is what you can expect with the iPhone 12 or 12 Pro, regardless of what you're doing with them. Now, one thing that's nice that Apple included this year is MagSafe, and MagSafe works on either of them for charging. You get 15-watt fast charging on either one of them. It's magnetic. It adheres to the back of the phone with a wireless charging magnet. So basically there's a magnetic ring on the outside of this wireless charger, and there's a wireless charging coil in the center, and you can just adhere it to the back. Both have the same advantage of using this wireless charger. Of course, both can be fast charged, and this will charge at 15 watts fast charging if you have it connected to the right power brick, and neither of these come with a power brick in the box. And so you'll have to pick one of those up. Now, if you want to pick one up, you can fast charge using the lightning port on the bottom of the phone. That won't be a problem, but they'll charge at the same rate. They'll also last the same amount of time, like I said before. Now, there is some great water sealing in both of them. They're water resistant up to 6 meters at this point for up to 30 minutes. So they're IP68 water resistant, but even further down and for a longer time. So that's really great. If you do drop it in water, it should be more resistant to actually damaging the phone if you're using it maybe outside and you did that by mistake. And so both of these are a great option, but this is where it gets a little confusing depending on what you're picking. Now, with the iPhone 12, there are a lot of deals right now to get it fairly inexpensively, but with the iPhone 12 Pro, it starts it with 128 gigabytes of storage by default. So that's actually a great deal, and if you bump up the iPhone 12 to that same storage size, you're about $150 difference between the two, depending on what the actual price is for you. So it's going to vary a lot depending on your budget, but $999 for the iPhone 12 Pro comes with 128 gigs of storage. For $849, you get 128 gigs of storage with the iPhone 12. If you are going to get an iPhone 12, I would definitely bump it up for $50 to double the storage. I think that's a great thing to do. It's pretty inexpensive and you can't upgrade it later, so that's probably the way to go unless you don't use much storage at all. Now with the iPhone 12 Pro, unless you use a ton of storage, I would go with the base option. There's no advantage in going with the larger storage unless you absolutely need it. If you do plan to record a ton of video with it though, maybe you want the 256 or 512 option. It just depends on what you're doing with it. But for the most part, I think most people would be happy with 128 gigs of storage. Both of them will get updates for the same amount of time, so probably about 5 years given Apple's track record. They don't guarantee this, but based on what they've done in the past, expect updates, meaning iOS 14, 15, 16, all the way to maybe iOS 19 or 20. By the time that comes out, these devices may still be supported if Apple continues to do that like they have in the past. So both of them are great options. They both have amazing cameras. They both have great video, great audio, and I don't think you'll be disappointed with either one. Now, of course, these are both the same size, like I said, but if you do want a smaller phone, Apple offers the iPhone 12 mini, and they also offer a larger iPhone 12 Pro Max, or they will a little bit later, depending on when you're watching this. And so to give you a quick size comparison, here's an iPhone 11 Pro Max next to an iPhone 12 Pro. So it is a little bit smaller. It's a little bit narrower. So if you like big phones, of course, you'll want to wait for the 12 Pro Max. But in general, the iPhone 12 is really a nice size. It's a kind of the sweet spot for most people, and I highly recommend it. Either of these phones are a great choice, but let me know what you would pick up in the comments below if you've already picked one up, or if you're looking for a different size or going to hang on to your older phone for a while, since those seem to last a long time as well. Let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to get your hands on the wallpaper in this video, of course, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.